Oh my God, Christy is divorcing Desmond on account of alleged cheating. Christy confirms the minute she found out he was cheating, she said there was no way of reconciliation with him.
Every night, he drags a different girl to my room, to my bed, whenever I'm gone.
Like it could be a man involved. You dig what I mean? But the signs were there.
Ain't funny anymore, Desmond. You probably heard famous TikTok couple Christy and Desmond Scott are filing for divorce. Well, she has filed and apparently it's over infidelity.
One of social media's most recognizable couples, Christy and Desmond Scott, have officially decided to end their marriage after 12 years together. For many followers, this news came as a shock, especially considering that just recently the couple had moved into a new home and were still actively creating content together online. From the outside looking in, everything appeared stable. The brand was intact, the family image was intact, the content was still rolling out. But as we've learned time and time again with social media couples, what's shown online doesn't always reflect what's happening behind closed doors. And sadly, in this case, that seems to be exactly what happened.
Desmond Scott has released a statement after the news that him and wife Christy are getting a divorce. He posted this on his IG stories 20 minutes ago, and it says, "I want to begin by apologising to Christy, our family, and everyone who has been impacted by the public attention surrounding this situation. I know this news has been disappointing for many, and I'm truly sorry for the hurt it has caused. Christy is the mother of my children, and that will always come first. I remain fully committed to being an active, present, and loving parent to our boys, as I always have been. Christy and I faced challenges and made sincere efforts to work through them. Towards the end of 2025, I wanted to separate, and I had conversations with Christy regarding this. During this period, I made choices that I'm not proud of. I took responsibility for those actions. I shared this with her directly and personally, and ultimately we decided to divorce. I asked for privacy and compassion as we navigate this difficult chapter of our lives. Thank you to everyone who has supported us over the years. I'm grateful for that support and will continue sharing my love for cooking and the things that inspire me. I hope you'll continue that journey with me." So we know that Christy filed for divorce, and the reason was infidelity with no chance of a reasonable reconciliation. Desmond is basically admitting it in his statement. I feel like we need a PR specialist like Molly McPherson to break down the language in the statement just to see if there's anything he's subliminally saying or not. And the way he says, "I wanted to separate, not we," as if I wanted to separate. I did this dumb shit, but I wanted to separate anyway. And after so long together with someone you've been with from such a young age, we don't know.
When you go back and rewatch some of their older videos with fresh eyes, there are moments that now feel different. Subtle tension, forced laughter, awkward exchanges disguised as jokes. At the time, many viewers brushed it off as playful banter or normal couple behavior. But now, knowing what we know, those same moments are being reinterpreted in a completely new light. A lot of people are saying that Christy and Desmond had been emotionally checked out of the relationship for quite some time, but continued pushing forward publicly because their joint brand was profitable. And when your income, lifestyle, and public identity are tied to a relationship, walking away isn't as simple as it sounds. Christy in particular experienced significant individual growth over the years. Early on, she was the primary face of their online presence, consistently posting fashion, lifestyle, and beauty content. That consistency paid off. Her platform grew rapidly, opening doors that many influencers only dream of. She began attending major industry events, walking red carpets, appearing at award shows, and networking with high-profile celebrities. Her visibility expanded beyond just social media couple status. She became a recognized personality in her own right.
Christy. Christy, are those tongues? Christy.
Desmond's like his personality, like that is his personality to be over the top like that. So I think
Over the top. Look at that.
Meanwhile, Desmond carved out his own lane with cooking content, building a respectable audience and brand of his own. However, public perception began to shift. Many followers felt that Christy's career trajectory was accelerating faster, placing her in spaces Desmond wasn't necessarily part of. This led to growing conversations online suggesting that Christy had outgrown Desmond, not necessarily in a malicious way, but in terms of exposure, opportunities, and public influence. Whether fair or not, that narrative began to stick. Another important factor people keep bringing up is how young they were when everything started. Christy and Desmond began dating at just 15 and 16 years old, eventually getting married at 19 and 20. That's incredibly young to commit to a lifelong partnership, especially before fully discovering who you are as individuals. As people grow, priorities change, goals change, personal identities evolve, and sometimes two people don't evolve in the same direction. In many relationships, growing apart doesn't automatically lead to separation. But unfortunately, in some cases, emotional distance creates vulnerability, and vulnerability can open the door to poor decisions. According to Desmond's own public statement, that seems to be what happened here. Desmond acknowledged that toward the end of 2025, he initiated conversations about wanting to separate. He admitted that during that emotionally complicated period, he made decisions he wasn't proud of and took responsibility for his actions. In his words, he stated that he and Christy faced challenges, made sincere efforts to work through them, and that during the separation discussions, he engaged in behavior that ultimately damaged the marriage. He also emphasized that he told Christy directly and personally, and that together they made the decision to move forward with divorce. While Desmond did not go into explicit detail, many interpreted his statement as an admission of infidelity, which aligns with widespread reports and online discussions surrounding the breakup.
We confirmed this. This is just so heartbreaking because if you know Christy, then you know the videos and you know the laugh. In most of her videos, she's doing something absolutely unhinged but fully committed to the bit and usually in heels. And if you know those videos, then you definitely know the infamous laugh. And this is how we were introduced to her husband, Desmond. In response to the unhinged things she was doing in her videos, you would hear his very loud, unmistakable laugh. From that dynamic, they built such a huge audience. Though people initially started following just for Christy, it eventually became a platform about the two of them. With Desmond Scott even branching off into his own content creation journey and having his own opportunities like becoming a chef for a really popular hotel line. As of now, neither Christy or Desmond have confirmed any details about the divorce or that it's even happening. But I think it's fair to say that a lot of fans are desperately awaiting some sort of confirmation or update because I think Christy and Desmond are one of those couples that we just never expected to break up. As there are more updates, we will continue to share, but in the meantime, don't forget to follow the feed HQ for all your updates on the people.
Naturally, many people believe that while Desmond may have wanted separation, Christy may not have initially been on the same page until learning about the betrayal. That revelation for many becomes the point of no return. What makes this situation especially difficult for viewers is how convincingly the couple maintained their public image. They smiled, they collaborated, they showed up online together, and yet behind the scenes they were struggling. Looking back now, some viewers recall moments where Christy appeared visibly irritated or aggressive toward Desmond, often framed as playful teasing. At the time it felt harmless, but in hindsight, those moments are being reassessed as possible signs of deeper resentment. It's a reminder that chemistry on camera doesn't always mean harmony in real life. This situation also highlights a harsh truth about influencer culture. When a relationship becomes a business, it's easy to feel trapped. Walking away doesn't just mean emotional loss, it can mean financial disruption, audience backlash, and identity shifts. Ultimately, this divorce serves as another example of how social media perfection can mask real-life pain and how growing together online doesn't always mean growing together emotionally. The media reaction to Christy and Desmond Scott's divorce has been swift, intense, and deeply divided. Revealing far more than just public curiosity, it exposes how invested audiences become in influencer relationships and how quickly narratives form once a breakup is confirmed. From blogs to comment sections, reaction channels to TikTok think pieces, the conversation exploded almost immediately. Headlines focused heavily on keywords like cheating, outgrowing, and red flags because controversy fuels clicks. While Desmond's statement was relatively measured and accountable, media framing often amplified the most sensational interpretation of his words. One major trend in coverage was the retroactive analysis of their content. Clips that once seemed harmless were suddenly dissected frame by frame. Viewers began playing armchair psychologists, labeling moments as emotional abuse, passive aggression, or clear signs of resentment. This phenomenon is common after public breakups. Once the ending is known, people search for clues to justify it. Another strong angle the media leaned into was the power imbalance narrative. As Christy's platform expanded, articles and commentators framed Desmond as the partner left behind. This created a storyline of emasculation, insecurity, and resentment, regardless of whether that was ever explicitly expressed by Desmond himself. Social media thrives on simplified villains and heroes, and many outlets subtly position Christy as the ambitious woman who outgrew her marriage, while casting Desmond as the insecure partner who acted out. The truth, as always, is likely far more complex. There's also the age factor, which media outlets repeatedly emphasize. Getting married young is often romanticized, but statistically, early marriages face unique challenges. Growth during late teens and early 20s is rapid and unpredictable. Media discussions highlighted this reality, framing the divorce as almost inevitable rather than tragic. Another layer of reaction centered on parasocial relationships. Followers felt personally betrayed, heartbroken, or even angry, despite having no real involvement in the marriage. This speaks to how influencer culture blurs boundaries. Audiences don't just consume content, they emotionally invest in the people behind it. Some fans rushed to defend Christy, applauding her strength and independence. Others sympathized with Desmond, acknowledging his accountability and criticizing the public dogpiling. A smaller but louder group accused both of selling a false narrative for years. From an analytical standpoint, this situation reinforces a critical lesson. Visibility does not equal transparency. Influencers curate what they show, and audiences fill in the gaps with assumptions. When reality breaks through, the backlash often reflects disappointment in an illusion rather than actual wrongdoing. Media outlets also use this divorce to reopen broader conversations about monetizing relationships, questioning whether influencer couples should build joint brands without safeguards for individual identity. Experts chimed in about emotional burnout, performance pressure, and the psychological toll of living your marriage online. Interestingly, while cheating dominated headlines, some analysts argued that infidelity was a symptom, not the cause. They pointed to long-term emotional disconnect, mismatched growth, and unresolved resentment as deeper issues. The reaction also exposed gendered expectations. Christy's ambition was celebrated by some and criticized by others. Desmond's admission of fault was praised by some and weaponized by others. These responses reflect how society still struggles to hold nuanced views of relationship breakdowns. In the end, media coverage didn't just report the divorce, it reshaped it. Narratives solidified quickly, leaving little room for complexity or private healing. And that may be the most sobering part of all. Public breakups rarely allow space for quiet reflection. This story serves as a case study in how digital fame magnifies personal struggles, how audiences demand answers they're not entitled to, and how easily speculation replaces empathy. At the end of the day, this situation reminds us that social media shows highlights, not the full story. Behind every smiling video is a real human experience, and behind every breakup is pain that doesn't fit neatly into headlines. Let me know what you think about this situation in the comments below. Do you believe the signs were always there, or do you think this truly came out of nowhere? If you enjoy honest, respectful breakdowns of trending celebrity stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Taspectrum West TV, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss our next upload.